Welcome to Sewbliss. Today I'm going to show you how to make these really cute leggings. They're easy and quick, and they're the perfect baby shower gift. Now the supplies that you're going to need are, first you're going to need your fabric. I used half of a yard to make a 3-month-old size pair of leggings, and I got my fabric from Riley Blake Designs. You're going to need a knit fabric for this project, and they have a ton of great options that are really great quality, so I'll put a link to them below. Then you're going to need a 1/4 inch wide piece of elastic to go around the waist, some paper to make your pattern, a pair of leggings that you already like the fit of that you can replicate to make the pattern. And then you're just going to need all of your basic sewing supplies. So let's get started. Our first step is going to be preparing the pattern. So here I have the pants that I'm going to replicate, and I just have it laying down on a piece of paper so that I can make the pattern. And what I've done is, you'll see I've just folded them in half, just like that. And right along here, you're going to place that on the fold. So I just drew a straight line up to the top and down to the bottom. And then at the top, what you're going to do is you're going to add a 1.5 inch seam allowance, and that's because we're going to be adding elastic in there. So I added that across the top, and then I just came down following this edge all the way down to the bottom, and I just added a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And I'm actually going to recreate this cuff right here. You don't have to, so you could come all the way down and add a seam allowance to create a hem here. But what I did is I'm going to create the cuffs at the bottom, and mine are going to be 1.5 inches long. These are 1 inch long, so I'm going to have them a little longer. So I just drew this 3.5 inch long box, and the extra 1/2 inch is for the seam allowance, and I'm going to place that on the fold so that way it can go all the way around. And I'm going to cut 2 of those. Now here I have my patterns cut out and placed on my fabric, and now I'm ready to cut them out. So here I have this one on the fold and place that on the fold, and I'm going to cut 2 of each piece. Once my pattern pieces are cut out, then I'm just going to take this off and take both of these pieces. I'm going to start with these pieces, not the cuff pieces, and I'm going to open it up with the right side on top, and I'm going to place this piece on top of it. So right sides together, just placing them on top of each other. After they're placed directly on top of each other with the right sides together, now I'm going to sew right down this side right here, just to this point on both sides. So right there and right there. And remember, we left a 1/2 inch seam, and I'm going to be sewing with a serger because that's going to be better for sewing with knits. But if you don't have a serger, you can use a zigzag stitch. That's going to be good because then the stitches won't break when they stretch. They'll stretch with the fabric. Now after sewing this edge and this edge, I'm then going to flip it right sides out. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my cuff, open it up, and actually place wrong sides together and fold it hot dog style, just like that. And here I have my raw edges, and I'm going to match the raw edges up with the bottom of the leggings. Now I only want to match it up with one layer of the leggings, so if you need to like pull it down or push the other layer up, we just want one cuff link on one, and then we'll go and do this back piece. And I'll pin that on, and then I'll sew it down, and that will create our cuff link. Now with the cuffs sewn on, I'm now going to open it up, so that way we have 2 legs. Now I'm going to match up these raw edges, and I'm going to sew from this point all the way around and over and down to this point. So you should be able to get a nice seam in all the way without stopping. Now after you have sewn the crotch seam, you should have what looks like a nice pair of leggings. For our final step, we just have to do the waistband seam. So I'll fold it down 1.5 inches, and then I'm actually going to turn the pants right side out and do a top stitch around the edge at 1 inch. And that will just give your leggings a nice finish. And I'm actually going to leave about a 2-inch opening, so that way we can put the elastic in at the very end. Now here you can see I've done my top stitching, and I have left an opening so that way we can insert our elastic. Now because I don't have a baby to actually measure my elastic on, I just measured the pants that I used for the pattern, and hopefully that works out good for me. If you have a child, you might want to just measure their waist real quick and add 1 inch, so that way we can overlap the ends and sew those ends together once we put it through. So once you figured out the sizing of your elastic, now we're going to put it through the leggings. And it might help if you put a safety pin on the end, and that way you can just slide it through and have something to grab onto that isn't the same as the fabric. So now I'm going to do that. Now once you have your elastic pulled through the leggings, next you're going to overlap the elastic by about 1 inch. And so over top of it, just do a zigzag stitch. That'll make it really nice and secure so it won't come apart. And then we can sew the waistband to our leggings closed. Now to prevent your elastic from rolling, I suggest that you do a straight stitch just right in this seam right here on that side. And then again, you can do it on this side. And that'll just help it stay in place and prevent it from rolling and being really annoying. And now you are all done with your leggings. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to give it a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!